little trip, take a little trip, take a little trip with me.
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. We got to get back into it right now.
Roll off. Dr. Froloff, please come forward. Please face the clerk. Raise your right hand. She will administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony about this matter should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Yes, you may.
Last name, please. My name is Victor Froloff. First name Victor, V-I-C-T-O-R. Last name F-R-O-L-O-F-F.
And what's your
We
occupation?
call it in 4
I'm an
minutes.
assistant medical examiner for Ramsey County.
And generally, what
Hold
are
on.
you? Is there a cell phone? I hear music.
Yes, sorry.
Please turn.
I had it off and it's recording this plane.
All right, maybe you should step out. All right, got it. Again, I'm amazed that we've gotten this far in the trial without a cell phone. So I compliment you all. But please make sure all devices are turned off. They can be a distraction to the attorneys and the witnesses during their important work. Mr. Testa.
We're on Twitch. Good
What are
morning.
your general duties as a medical examiner?
We have multiple duties.
Bill,
by Dr. Lewis to
Blue.
perform autopsy. Autopsy is examination of the dead bodies. Of course,
Read
to
all,
sign death
first one
certificates
here.
when physicians
Format.
refuse to sign, we have revoked cremations in the state of Minnesota. And of course, I have to do autopsy. I have to express my opinion about cause and matters of death. And sometimes I have to give my opinion about cause and matters of death in the court.
Are you occasionally asked by St. Croix County to complete autopsies for deaths that occur in St. Croix County?
Yes, St. Croix County, it's our neighbors across the river, so they usually send cases, complicated cases to us.
How long have you been a medical examiner?
My official position, assistant medical examiner, I'm employed in this position for 19 years.
I can approach you on it. Doctor, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 61. Recognize that document?
Yes, Exhibit 61. It's a hard copy of my CV.
My CV, you mean curriculum vitae?
That's correct.
Does it set forth your
Morning,
credentials,
Bubba.
training, that type of thing?
Yes.
Does it also set forth
Big bag.
teaching jobs you've had and publications that you've contributed to or wrote yourself?
Yes.
Can you please just summarize your education?
I'm a physician for like 39 years. I graduated medical school. I did 1 year of internship in internal medicine. I practiced emergency medicine for many years, and 30 years ago I immigrated to the United States. Basically, I have to start all over. So I passed all my tests. I decided I'd like to do forensic pathology. In order to do forensic pathology, you need to do some specialized training. I graduated from University of Minnesota in pathology, and I did 2 fellowships in Milwaukee, so I trained in Wisconsin. So it's Medical College of Wisconsin and Milwaukee County Medical Examiner Office, and I get back to Minnesota.
Have you been working at the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office? You said 19 years. Has that been continuously with Ramsey County?
Yeah, I don't work for Ramsey County. I work for Dr. Mills, who's a Ramsey County Medical Examiner. She hired me to perform autopsy, but yes, continuously for 19 years.
You have a general idea of how many autopsies you performed at that time?
I don't count autopsies anymore. It's over 4,000 autopsies, and now it's approximately around 300 autopsies per year.
Can you tell the jury what the field of pathology entails? What's all involved with it?
Pathology is a branch of the medicine study, basically nature of the disease, such as cancer, for example.
And what's forensic pathology?
Forensic pathology and forensic pathologists use medical knowledge in legal cases, unusual deaths, unusual circumstance, and violent deaths.
And are you licensed to practice medicine?
I have full 2 and unrestricted licenses for state of Minnesota and state of Wisconsin.
And obviously, it's performing autopsies on folks that have been killed. That's part of your duties.
Yes, we perform, we involve in investigation and perform an autopsy in a homicidal death.
For those who might not know, can you describe what an autopsy is?
Autopsy is a complex procedure. First of all, we like to know what happened with the body. Second, I perform external examination. At the time of the external examination, we collect trace evidence, DNA, sexual assault kit, some other, specimens if I have to. Then I perform internal examination of the body. It's called evisceration. Basically, we open body, we look for damage, we look for any type of injuries, we look for diseases. At the same time, I'm taking photographs, and that's a large part of the autopsy. It's performing toxicology. At the time of the examination, we collect body fluids, such as blood, bile. We collect urine if it's available. We collect fluid from eye, skull, vitreous humor, and I collect tissue samples for toxicology, such as liver.
Did you perform an autopsy on Isaac Schuman back in 2022?
I performed autopsy on Isaac Schuman on July 31st, 2022. You're correct, yes.
And do you prepare reports regarding, or did you prepare reports regarding the autopsy that you completed of Isaac Schuman?
Yes, we usually issue like provisional reports, like my initial diagnosis, initial thinking, without toxicology is the same day. And when I'm done with full investigation and toxicology, I sign a final autopsy report.
I can approach Charles. Yes.
Problem.
Mark, exhibit number 60. You recognize that document?
Yes, Exhibit 60, it's a hard copy of my provisional report.
Is that the report you do before the toxicologists come back?
That is correct.
I'll show you what's been marked as exhibit 17. I'll ask you to recognize that.
Exhibit 17, it's a hard copy of my final autopsy protocol. Correct.
I'll show you what's been marked as exhibit 17. I'll ask if you recognize that.
Exhibit 17, it's a hard copy of my final autopsy protocol.
Can I ask you some questions about those documents, Doctor? When you did the autopsy of Isaac Schuman, did you follow your normal autopsy protocol that you described earlier?
Yes, we follow, some general rules, yes.
Did you complete an external examination of his body?
Yes.
And what findings did you make on the external examination of his body?
Before I start external examination of the body, I just need to tell you that I got body from the hospital. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. He had a medical, we call artifacts. He had a tube inside of his oral cavity, just helping to breathe. He had 2 IV lines, intravascular access, but it was inserted in his bones. And he had a multiple surgical and packing material saturated with the blood, and I observed a body on my table. There was some blood present on his body, and I observed sharp wound injury to his left chest.
Did you take photographs during your external examination of Isaac's body?
Yes, I did attempt to take, many photographs.
All right. Did you complete an internal examination of Isaac's body?
Yes.
And is that part of the usual autopsy procedure?
Yes, you're correct.
Can you summarize the results of your internal examination of Isaac's body?
Sure. As I said, I observed sharp force injury to his left chest. Later, I classified this wound as a stab wound. Stab wound, basically it's a sharp force injury. Stab wound when the depth of the wound exceeds the length of the wound on the skin. So it was stab wound to the left chest. The stab wound penetrated to his left chest cavity. He had a damage, call it sharp force injury to his fifth and sixth ribs on the left chest cavity. Then wound kind of continues and go to the left lung. I was able to identify sharp force injury to the lower lobe of the left lung. He had a blood in his left chest cavity. I recovered 200 cubic centimeters. It's approximately a glass of the blood in his left chest cavity. And he had damage, sharp force injury to his pericardium. Pericardium, it's a coverage, kind of like sac around his heart. And he had a sharp force injury to the apex of the heart. The apex, it's a pointy part of the heart, like he had a damage, sharp force injury to the left ventricle of the heart. And he had a condition, and I identified this condition on the X-ray I performed before autopsy. He had a condition called pneumothorax. Pneumothorax is present of the air in the chest cavity. So two conditions, pneumothorax, air, and hemothorax present on the blood. And his organs, midline organs, was kind of shifted to the right. It's called deviation to the right. It's because it's collection of the air in the left chest cavity.
I can approach again, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
Doctor, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 24, and I'll ask if you recognize that document, or yes, that group of documents.
Hey, Joe. You too, man.
Yes, Exhibit 24, it's hard copy of some of my images I took at the time of the examination.
Those are the photographs you took during
Good morning.
your examination of Isaac Schuman?
Some of them, yes.
All right,
Salute.
I want to go through this page by page.
Yes, you may.
5 minutes. Miss anybody else? Sorry, I had to take your assignment. What's going on, Taylor? Where you at now? Taylor's gonna be captain one day. How's your buddy? Gonna go OCS, man. Man, I don't have any herb to smoke right now. Nothing. Gotta take pictures and stuff if I want to do any of that. Gotta open something fresh. Right. My Sonicare toothbrush died last night. I bought it off of eBay, so good luck on trying to get a warranty claim on it. We'll see. I filled one out last night. We'll see what they say. Probably not. What's the story? This dude stabbed 5 17-year-olds. Well, no, they were like a bunch of high schoolers were drunk and high on a river, in Wisconsin, and they started picking on a dude, calling him a pedo for no fucking reason, and then started like surrounding him and getting other people from the river to come over and tell him to leave and shit. And he ended up touching one of them. They said he punched her. They're all fucking lying. Everybody in this case is lying. It's crazy.
Dr. Froloff, I'm going to go through each of the 12 photos that are
None of the
in
kids are
Exhibit
getting charged with
24.
anything, but he stabbed
One,
like
what is that? A photo
5
of?
people. He killed one of them.
I believe it's page
They hit him
one.
a bunch. That's why he started stabbing. They hit him a bunch, knocked him into the water and shit.
Which I took from the body.
Was Isaac Schuman wearing anything else other than the swim trunks when you received his body?
No.
Page 2, can you tell us what that is?
I mean, he found out too. He's been in fucking jail for 2 years now.
Page 2, that's image of the body taken from the left side. So the gentleman that's on my table, I took these photographs. He covered by medical, just basically hospital type of sheath. His hands covered by brown bags.
Why are his hands covered, if you know?
This is part of the requirement. In cases for suspicious cases, we ask law enforcement or medical personnel cover hands with bag to protect trace evidence, because we have to collect trace evidence at the time of the autopsy. So it's part of the standard procedure.
All right, page 3, what does that show?
I hope we're on the same page. I believe this is, when I took a bag from his hands, this is image of the wrist, left wrist, and I just document that he had it's my name tag, and it's hospital number. He was ID by hospital number, and he had a golden collar chain or bracelet.
Fucking audio's
on
off
his,
just slightly.
left wrist.
When his body came to you, did he have that bracelet on?
Yes, actually, I recovered later. It was because his hands were a bag, but he had a bracelet, yes.
All right, page 4, can you tell us what that is?
Page 4, I believe this is image of the back
weird.
of his right hand.
Page 5.
Page 5, that's again, it's a photograph of the front of his right hand.
Page 6.
Why are they showing the judge? They show how bored he is?
Page 6.
God damn it,
it's
I need
again,
to
it's
see
a
lips right
photograph
now.
Of the front of his right hand. I just tried to take a picture on the different
fucking
angle to
stupid.
see, how it turns.
All right, and then page 7, can you tell us what that is?
Page 7. It's a hard copy of the image of his left hand, back of his left hand.
And then page 8.
Page 8, it's again image of the front of his left hand.
Page 9, can you tell us what that is?
Page 9. On the page 9, when we collect trace evidence, again, I wash a body and photograph body again. This is picture of the front of his body, anterior chest. We call it anterior chest, but basically front of the body. And in his left chest,
This camera
you
guy
can
sucks.
see a
In case you
big,
didn't notice.
meaning running at the angle. Sharp was
Why the
injury
fuck
in
would
this
we wanna
case. It's
stare
a
at the
stab into
judge?
the left chest. Under this wound, he had a small, I had a hard time to sub-classify tiny kind of like
Tatted.
abrasion. I described in the final report that this is abrasion. It's very superficial injuries. And
I'd way
the sharp
rather
was
look at the
injury,
lawyers than the
again,
judge.
It's fairly large. I measure it
Actually,
10
real tall.
centimeters. It's approximately 3.9 inches in length.
The next page says...
Because they're part of the conversation right now. The judge isn't. You get it?
Next page, that's a close-up of his
Back
stab
to the
wound
judge,
left
you fucking
chest.
idiot.
It's located below the left nipple. And
I
again,
need to
just
see their
close up,
fucking
just wanna
lips
show
so I
jury,
can
don't
see
know,
if it's
defense attorney,
timed up right
prosecutor,
now.
that this is indeed sharp injury, and both ends of the wound is sharp. That could be important in some cases to describe exact, details of the stab wound.
On the next page, is that from your internal examination of Isaac's body?
Next page, yes, that's a image of the left chest.
Dude,
when
they
I
have
removed
to do
his
this
skin
case
from the left
because if they
chest,
didn't, the whole
I
fucking
observed
city
that he had a
would be
sharp
up in
injury to
arms
two
like,
ribs. So two ribs was completely
yeah, there's murder,
dissected.
kill one of our kids.
So
You know what I mean?
weapon
They
was
had to
physically
do this
changed.
trial, dude. He knows
I
that.
just want to show you that it's damage of the
Everybody has to see. We had to have it like this.
I make sure I understand you, Dr. Froloff.
Or
When you say that his ribs were transected, what do you mean
white
by
people will
that?
be like, hey
it's a
man,
sharp injury to the ribs.
And what was the damage to the ribs?
It's completely cut. Well, I can say cut off.
How many ribs were completely cut?
Two.
White Lives Matter would have came out
on the
and
next page, if you can tell
started
us what that is.
protesting.
Next page. It's again a hard copy of the image of the heart. I mentioned to you when I examined his body. I
Dude,
observed
can you
that he
imagine if
had
this was a
sharp
black
injury,
dude that got killed and
to
it was a
the
white dude
apex
that
of
did
the
it?
heart. It's like pointy part of the heart.
He just happened to be a
So
bald
I
guy.
measure it's,
Like
5
me?
centimeters.
Oh my
it's
God.
approximately 2 inches
Done.
in length.
BLM would have showed up to make sure that I go to prison for life.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask for permission to publish the photos to the jury. It's my
They'd be out there,
intention
we'd be able to
just
hear
give
'em out there.
copies to the jurors.
Black Lives Matter. Black
Johnson, any
Lives
objection to Exhibit
Matter.
24?
No justice, no peace.
Yeah, they're still out there.
But I understand Your Honor's ruling.
Yes, I've overruled the objection. We can talk more later. Members of the jury, Mr. Smestad is going to hand you the paper photographs from Dr. Froloff's examination. The photographs are evidence.
Some of the,
Consider it as much as your
like this guy,
sensibilities allow.
why does he need to be there? This guy
It may be difficult to look
specifically.
at, so if you need to avert your eyes.
The kid
or
died
set
from
it
getting
aside,
stabbed.
You may do
What
so.
else
but
do
it
we
is
need to
evidence, and
know?
I ask that you consider it as much as you are able to. Please share the photos.
Thank you, Your Honor.
By the way, I got a vet appointment today, so I gotta, me and Simon, we gotta leave at 9 something.
Go back in the order they were in. This is clear.
So I'm not gonna be here for a chunk of this.
Be a good idea to have them stapled so they don't,
Well, Fox 9 is gonna be my babysitter.
or paginate them.
Well, all goes well. I mean, it's gonna go. There's nothing, not like I'm gonna take them there and they're gonna put them to sleep.
Dr.
It's gonna
Froloff,
suck regardless.
Were any laboratory tests
always does.
performed as part of the autopsy process?
I'm not looking forward to it, dude.
Yes, I performed, full toxicology on this gentleman.
And what were the results of the toxicology
Getting
that was
tired.
done for Isaac Schuman?
Tired of the whole thing.
He was positive for ethanol and BAC, blood alcohol concentration. It's 0.219.
Did he have
Damn.
any other substances in his blood?
No, there is no other substances or drugs.
In your field, forensic pathology, what does the term cause of death refer to?
We have to express opinion about causes of death. Basically, it's how people die in the case of, for example, people die from heart attack. That's cause of the death.
And what does the term manner of death mean in your field?
In matter of the death, it's how cause of the death came to be. And in the case of the heart attack, that's going to be natural death.
Based on the autopsy you performed of Isaac Schuman, were you able to determine a cause of death?
Yes.
And what was his cause of death?
In my opinion, cause of the death is stab wound to the left chest.
And based on the autopsy you performed of Isaac's body, were you able to determine a manner of death?
Yes.
And what was that conclusion?
In my opinion, manner of the death in this case, it's a homicide.
Your Honor, I don't have any other questions for the doctor. I'm going to move, oh, pardon me. Oh. As part of your examination of Isaac, did you measure his height and weight?
Yes, we measure length of the body, not height, but length of the body and weight, yes.
What was the length of the body and the weight for Isaac Schuman?
He was weighted 134 pounds.
Do you remember how tall he was, how long he was?
And again, we measure length of the body. It's a little bit different than height, 6.1.
And the evidence that you gathered from Mr. Schuman.
6.1
was
what?
turned over to the sheriff's office.
I believe, evidence, and we collect, the trace evidence in this case was released to, I believe, on the 2nd of August to sheriff's office, yes.
He was 6
You, as
foot
part of your
something and
examination of,
134
Isaac,
pounds.
Take any DNA samples?
Again, in every case, we collect, in this case, we collect sexual assault kit, but basically we collect hair, buccal swabs inside of the oral cavity called buccal swabs, suitable for DNA, yes.
And were those items also turned over to the sheriff's department?
I believe so, yes.
And getting back to the injury to Isaac's chest, you measure how deep that injury is?
Yes, I measure depth of the wound. It's 11 centimeters. It's approximately 4.3 inches.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor. I'm going to move for admission of Exhibit 24, 61. The two on the bench here, if I can approach.
24 is already received. Any objection to 61? I think that's the preliminary
No
report.
objection to the CV.
17 is 60.
Oh, excuse me, 61 was the CV. That's received. What was the other exhibit?
60 is the provisional report, no objection. 17 is the final report, no objection.
Both received.
Thank you.
Mr. Nelson.
You're a medical examiner?
Good morning, Counselor. I'm not a medical examiner, official position, assistant medical examiner.
In general, your role is you're a medical examiner. I understand you have a title and a position, but your role is you're an ME, right?
I'm an assistant medical examiner, yes, for Ramsey County. That's official position.
Okay. And you're here to tell us.
So you're a medical designer,
essentially
motherfucker.
two things.
You a little
One is
shit.
that Isaac Schuman's deceased, right?
That's like
She will
saying
with that.
I'm an assistant manager. Okay, so you manage the store. Oh no, I'm an assistant to the manager. Well, okay. Well, the manager's not there. You're in charge, right? Yeah, but I'm assistant manager. Like motherfucker. But
Yes, I agree. He was
You little
deceased
shit.
before I started autopsy, yes.
And another, essentially what you're here to say is how he died, correct?
Yes.
As you said, you want to know what happened, correct?
We like to know what happened, yes.
And as part of that, you do an autopsy, you examine the body, correct?
Yes,
Because sometimes that helps to figure out what happened, correct?
you're correct, yes.
You would agree that it's unusual in your field to have a video of what happened, agreed?
Well, lately we have more and more videos because everything on cameras. But yes, sometimes videos taken at the time of the incident, yes.
And obviously, you would agree that a video is helpful for all of us to determine what happened, right?
Again, my job to determine cause and manner of the death, express my opinion, and videos sometimes important, yes.
Did you see the video in this case?
I did not observe any videos.
Have you ever observed any photos or frames from that video?
I prefer not to. I was not offered, but I was told by prosecution that video available, but I denied. I didn't observe video.
Okay. And again, just to summarize, your opinion is he died due to a penetrating stab wound to his left chest, correct?
In the final report, I said exsanguination, basically bleeding to the death, to the stab wound to the left chest. You're correct.
Medical examiners, even assistant medical examiners, is there a board certification process for that position?
It depends on which field, yes.
Okay, in your field, there's a board certification process, sir?
Yes.
Are you board certified?
I'm a diplomat of the American Board of Medical Legal Death Investigators.
Are you board certified as a medical examiner?
There is no board certification for medical examiners, board certification for forensic pathology.
You talked about manner of death and cause of death, is that right?
Yes.
And I think, just so we know, again, just cause of death is stab wound to the left chest, in simple terms, correct?
You are correct, yes.
And then the manner is, as you said, how that cause came to be, agreed?
Yes.
Left chest, in simple terms, correct?
You are correct, yes.
And then the manner is, as you said, how that cause came to be, agreed?
Yes.
And that's a medical term, correct?
It's a forensic term, yes.
A forensic medical term, correct?
Sure.
It's not a legal term, correct?
It's not a legal term, no.
And the cause of death, there are essentially, you have 4 options, 5 options?
No, for manner of the death, we have.
Yes,
For
I
cause of
apologize.
death, it's indefinitive. For manner of the death, we have limited options, yes.
Absolutely. So manner of death, there's limited options, only 5?
We can choose from the natural death, accidental death, suicidal death, homicidal death. And if I cannot determine, I can say it is undetermined death. You're correct.
Okay. So there is no determination that you can make, that you're qualified to do, as to whether or not the homicide occurred as a result of self-defense. Agreed?
Oh, I never testified that it's self-defense or as an issue. Homicide, basically, from forensic point of view, it's meaning life taken by another person.
Sure. And again, that's outside of your field, whether it's self-defense. Agreed?
Yes, I never testified about self-defense, yes.
Okay. In this situation, you examined Isaac Schuman's body, and part of that was the toxicology. Is that right?
Yes,
And you determined that his blood alcohol concentration was 0.219. Agreed?
it's not me, it's a lab.
A lab that you rely on in your work, correct?
Yes,
So based upon your relying on that lab, you agree his blood alcohol concentration was 0.219.
that's correct.
And you're aware that the legal limit for adults permitted to drink alcohol is 0.08, correct?
In the state of Wisconsin, driving legal limit, it's 0.08, you're correct.
So this would be over 2.5 times the legal limit, correct?
Yes,
All right. Now, you talked about the wound and you described that. Agreed?
yes,
The manner in which somebody would receive a stab wound is a dynamic process. You agree?
you're correct, yes.
There would be, you're not here to tell anybody about the amount of force that was used to cause that wound. Agreed?
It's usually hard to determine force apply in the cases like that, yes.
And part of the reason that it's hard to determine is because the process is so dynamic, correct?
Oh, it's not just dynamic, it's nature of the weapon and so on and so on.
And at least part of it, and I understand there might be more complications, part of it is that it might be one object going into another object. It might be 2 objects moving towards each other, correct? Those are at least 2 of the possible dynamics involved.
If you mean objects, it's humans, right?
Correct, and I apologize. A person
And person.
and the knife. You're absolutely right, I apologize. You agree?
It's dynamic process, yes.
And so part of that, to try to measure, if one was to try to think about that force, you'd have to know whether the person who's receiving that wound, in what direction they're moving, correct?
It's so many things you need to consider. Yes.
You would agree, though, if the person receiving the wound is moving towards the knife, that's going to impact how the injury occurs. Agreed?
Yes.
If the person receiving the wound is reaching out, that's going to impact the wound that is received.
I can't speculate because, it's possibility, but again, I'm here to express opinion about cause and matters of this. And I never, observed this incident. Sure, but again, it's really hard to tell what happened because I don't know what happened exactly.
I understand, but you were here to say a certain depth of the wound, and that was something that you pointed out to the jury, correct?
Depth of the wound, it's easy to measure, and
Absolutely.
it's objective kind of things.
Sure. So you would agree, though, it's fair for me to ask you questions about how it may have came to be that the wound became that deep? That's a fair question. You agree?
Sure.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Are you fine with that?
Until, some points, yes.
Yeah. And so that may have occurred if a body is moving towards that knife, that's going to impact the depth of the wound. Agreed?
Yes.
If a 6'1", 130-pound, 34 person is moving towards into that knife, that might make the knife go deeper, correct?
It's again, I can't predict how deep exactly, but it's possibility, yes.
Sure. And certainly if that person, 6'1", 134 pounds, is falling forward, so all their weight is going forward onto that knife, that's going to impact the force as well, correct?
That's a possibility, yes.
And certainly if the person who's holding the knife is falling backwards, that might impact the force involved to the wound, correct?
My guess, so it's possibility, yes.
And if the person with holding the knife who's falling backward, if they only reach out a small amount, that's going to impact the force that causes the depth of the wound, correct?
As I said, it's so many variables, I can't speculate. It's, I don't know. I'm in pathology again. I have to express opinion on the cause and manner of this, and this is just like what potential could happen if I don't have a straight answer.
Correct. And part of what you do in medicine is sometimes you come up with hypotheses, right?
I don't come with the with hypothesis. It's just like I can official like statement. Like depth of the wound could be. Like deeper than length of the blade or shorter, or it's going to be equal. These clear questions I can't answer, but what's potential happen at the time of the incident? It's endless possibilities. I don't know.
And you agree that the possibilities that I talked with you about, those are reasonable possibilities that if someone were to try to consider the force, should be considered. Agreed?
Sure.
Those are the only questions I have.
Mr. Smestad?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Dr. Frolov. You may step down.
Am I excused, Your Honor?
You are excused, yeah.
Thank you.
How's everyone doing? Anybody need a short recess? Everyone looks okay?
Judge, I'd suggest a break now. Sorry.
The next witness, I think, will be lengthy, so it might be a good idea to take up.
Okay. In that event, then, let's recess for 10 minutes. We'll come back at 8:55. At 8:55.
All right, good jury.
Yeah, who has the photographs? Okay.
Oh, I'll grab.
Yeah, Mr. Smestad will take them from
Did everybody get to see that?
No, there's still people.
We'll leave him on the bench. There's still some.
Turn him over, please. We are in recess, 10 minutes.
And good morning from our Fox 9 streaming center. You're, of course, watching our Apple River stabbing trial, gavel-to-gavel coverage from Hudson, Wisconsin, St. Croix County Circuit Court on this Tuesday morning. We've just heard from the medical examiner, the assistant medical examiner in Ramsey County, so the city of St. Paul area, for those unfamiliar with our immediate market area. Isaac Schuman, Dr. Froloff conducted the autopsy. You heard the specifics there, the damage to the 2 ribs, the heart, cause of ruled a homicide, and that another human being took his life. It is not a legal determination. We have a soundbite queued up from the assistant medical examiner, Dr. Froloff. In case you missed his earlier testimony, let's take you right back into the courtroom for some of Dr. Froloff's testimony.
What? We just heard it. What do you mean? Y'all don't have any content?
What happened? Yes.
And as part of that, you do an autopsy, you examine the body.
There was nothing with
Yes.
They would have been better off showing
helps
something from last week than showing this
figure out
guy
what
again.
happened, correct.
There was nothing here. There's no
You're correct,
content
yes.
here. Man,
You would agree that it's unusual in your field to have a video of what happened. Agreed?
Well, lately we have more and more videos because everything on cameras. But yes, sometimes videos taken at the time of the incident, yes.
And obviously, you would agree that a video is helpful for all of us to determine what happened, right?
Again, my job to determine cause and matters of death, express my opinion, and videos sometimes important, yes.
Correct. Did you see the video in this case?
I did not observe any videos.
Have you ever observed any photos or frames from that video?
I prefer not to. I was not offered, but I was told by prosecution that video available, but I denied. I didn't observe video.
Okay. And again, just to summarize, your opinion is he died due to a penetrating stab wound to his left chest, correct?
In the final report, I said exsanguination, basically bleeding to the death, to the stab wound to the left chest. You correct.
All right, so let's set the stage at this point. Dr. Froloff, we have been told now the state could have changed its mind overnight and thought of another witness to call, but the state had 2 witnesses in line for today to wrap up their case. One was the assistant medical examiner, Victor Froloff there. The second one is Lieutenant Brandy Hart. The lieutenant did the jailhouse interrogation with Nicolae Miu after his arrest on July 30th, 2022. The statements he made during that interrogation, I believe it was over 70 minutes at the jail, are damning. He lies, and the defense has acknowledged during opening statements that Nicolae Miu lied during his interrogation in custody, that the kids had the knife and that he took it off of them, that his reaction, again, they're claiming self-defense, not that that's a lie, that's their defense, but the idea that it wasn't his knife, he didn't have a knife at that point, those statements are going to come in. So we anticipate the last state witness coming up is Lieutenant Brandy Hart. You just heard
Lieutenant
Aaron Nelson,
Dan,
Miu's defense attorney, Brandy Hart.
where's your
So we
legs?
anticipate the last state witness coming up is Lieutenant Brandy Hart. You just heard Aaron Nelson, Miu's defense attorney, Brandy Hart. The case, presumably then, the state would rest, and then it would be in the defense hands. And then the question becomes when and if, and then the assumption is they will put Nicolae Miu on the witness stand. Do you put him on right away? Does the defense have more witnesses this day? We'll have to watch as it unfolds. unfolds, but it certainly sets up the prospects of, we hear from Brandy Hart on the interrogation, the statements he made in the immediate aftermath, perhaps the misleading statements, the lying statements, and then all of a sudden we could go right to Nicolae Miu himself. So it would be a fascinating sort of ping-ponging situation for this jury to see and listen to in that courtroom. That's, at least in my anticipation, is what I'm expecting today. Again, there could be some surprises. The state may have a last rethought their case and maybe have an additional witness. Perhaps the defense has one or two more character type witnesses or someone else on the river that day they want to call before getting into Miu. That's how the rest of this day stacks up. We want to take a moment. Again, the court in recess for about 10 minutes. I want to go back to some testimony from yesterday from Isaac Schuman's good friend, Owen Peliquin. Owen is on the river. He's tubing with Isaac Schuman. We heard his account of what happened, his belief that Miu struck Madison Cohen. Madison Cohen punched her in the face, and that's what really escalated the physical confrontation between the two groups. While we have a moment, we want to keep our viewers updated and remind them what's happened. Not everybody's watching our coverage every single minute. Let's go back to some testimony from Monday morning, this Owen Peliquin.
At that point, once these other folks came over, is it fair to say you and your friends were less scared?
Yeah, definitely.
At that point, were you laughing at them?
Yeah, we kind of just thought it was all fun and games at that point because we thought the adults would handle it.
I'm sorry, I missed that last part, Judge.
Would you repeat your answer?
Sorry, could you ask the question again? Sorry.
Were you less scared? And I think your answer was you were.
Yeah, I was way less scared when I saw the adults. The adults made me feel way more comfortable.
All right. Did Mr. Miu say anything about why he didn't want to leave where you guys were, the area where you were?
He was not speaking.
Yeah, they're retarded.
Were you able to see his face as the blonde lady was yelling at him?
To an extent, yeah. His face was just emotionless. Like if you looked at him, it looked like he was looking straight through you.
Did he look scared?
Did I look scared?
Did he look scared?
No, not once. He looked like he was like somehow kind of having fun.
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Fun. He wasn't smiling like
Mr.
all they
Miu
were.
call out for help at any time?
He was having fun. He was having fun with it all.
Point,
Yeah, that's why he ran up to him. It was
blonde lady.
fun.
Did you see
guy.
him have a knife?
That's the kind of shit he does for fun,
Can
probably.
you describe how that all happened?
It's kind of blurry, but I just remember we were all in like this. We were all together.
Dude, these kids are like the kids that would pick on me in high school, actually. The jocks. They were the fucking worst, dude. The jocks were the fucking worst at my school. Podunk-ass towns like this, that's how it works, dude. The jocks are the biggest assholes to everybody in the fucking school, unless you're a jock like them or a cheerleader, maybe. That's the only people they get along with, dude. Everybody else, they look at they're better than them. You know, they got all the nice clothes. Their parents are fucking rich. Why is it always like that? Half the time it's like that. The other half of the time, the jock is a fucking raging hillbilly that all he likes to do is fight. So you got the fucking fighting ass, dumbass hillbilly motherfuckers, and then you got the really rich, cocky motherfuckers, and they're hanging out, wearing off on each other constantly. That's how it works, dude.
And I just remember like looking at him and then looking down at his hand, and
that's who this guy
is.
is.
Gripping a knife, and then yeah.
You know where
I know from experience that's how that shit works, dude.
Pocket.
All right. Had you seen it in his pocket prior to?
They don't hold back when they're fucking with somebody because they feed off each other's energy, just like they did on the river.
Did you see him take the knife out of his pocket, if you remember?
It's really blurry. I can't really give you an answer.
We're going to show you some still frames from the video. Okay, pardon me. We're going to play the video. Before that, I have one question. When you saw the knife, did you say something to your friends about the knife?
Yes, I did.
What did you say?
I said, "Bro, he's got a knife," and I tried to pull some people back.
Like the jock kids are very rarely
We could have, yes.
just a regular dude.
But now you're getting braver because of the number of people that are around.
Yes,
right?
because there was adults and we were trying to handle the situation.
Right. You guys start to try to handle the situation instead of just going by, which is what you could have done, right?
It was all so quick. and like I don't really feel like
His jawline
no one
says
really knew in that
asshole.
situation,
That's
so
what
was
it
also quick,
is.
And the commotion was just like everywhere. We were
He's
just
got a
young
punchable
kids that were
face.
curious as to what was going on, and we wanted to see it finish what we were seeing.
You wanted to see it finish because it was on tape, right?
I'm not sure I understand.
You
your
can tell he
question.
thinks he's
John
like
Hatfield's videotaping this entire thing, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Right.
hot
You
shit.
wanted to see how this tape played out. You wanted to see how this incident finished, right?
I wouldn't say we ever did it just for like a camera, like a video.
Well, do you remember him yelling for the culture? Remember that?
I do not.
You don't remember him yelling that?
I don't.
Okay. Do you remember somebody in your group yelling or saying to somebody, "You got 10 seconds"?
Like-
remember that?
I don't recall that.
That's probably him that said that, by the way. And for him not to remember the horticulture shit is complete bullshit. As if all these kids haven't rewatched that video as soon as they were able to and relived the moment and get back into it. All of them have rewatched it, dude. There's no doubt in my mind that all of them have went against the judge's orders and watched this trial while they're at home even. There's no way that they're not, dude. Everybody can just do this. Beep! Like back in the day, when these laws came about where the sequestering of the jurors, you can't watch the trial, we didn't have this. Dude, they were watching the fucking trial out in the hallway while it was going on a minute ago, yesterday or something. They had to sequester all the Spanish-speaking people because they were watching the trial in the hallway. And so, like, now that that's a thing to where these things are televised onto our phones in our pocket while we're just walking down the street, they can't do that. That's never going to happen nowadays. See, fucking, especially when you're in it, like these people are, especially when they're trying to cover their asses, because if they don't, they could end up doing some time. They could end up having severe civil lawsuits come up against them. They're all scared as shit that if this doesn't go right for them and this guy gets acquitted, it's going to turn. It could possibly turn on all of them, dude. They could be paying for this for the rest of their lives.
Did you say that?
I did not.
Okay. So Mr. Miu moves over to the blonde. You agree there's a path to go through, but you want to see
He
this
doesn't
through.
know who said you have 10 seconds. That's got to be bullshit too, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to see through?
Just the commotion. I don't know. We were just watching. None of us touched him. None of us did anything.
Right. You want to see you want to see how the commotion.
And we didn't want to leave. Also, the two girls that were talking to him alone. Like, I mean,
The two girls, those are women. Those are women. See, do you see how he does? This is how the youth does this shit. They are kids when it suits them to be a kid, and they're adult every other time. You know what I mean? Now, because I'm 17, I'm adult, man. What the fuck are you talking about, asshole? But if all of a sudden being a kid is advantageous or is going to give them the upper hand, they're going to be a kid all of a sudden. Just like right there, oh, we wanted to stay because the girls were there. Oh, no, those are girls. A minute ago, you were happy because the adults were coming, the women were coming over to protect y'all. You know, now they're girls, though, and they're powerless, and they need you now to protect them. Which is it? Make your fucking mind up, you little shit.
I couldn't really say like we should just leave because I don't know who would just leave in that situation because it was all so quick.
People who were scared might want to leave, right?
Objection, Your Honor. It's a question.
Well, it was a question.
Because here's the thing. These little punk-ass kids, minutes went by in between the first recording of them going off and the second recording of him running at him. The raper! He turns it off at that. And then a few minutes later, it comes back on. They were still close to him. The river's moving. That means they all put their feet down. They all made their tubes stop. They stayed close to him, and they continued to berate him until he ran at them. And then they didn't start to move forward until he was in front of them. So they were moving towards him. Dude, all this is so crazy, dude. The fact that it's like made it this far, I get why it had to, but holy shit, it just makes them all look so bad, man.
Right?
For the rest of their lives, hopefully.
People who were scared might want to leave.
I hope they have to move after
Yes, but when we
this.
saw the adults, we felt more comfortable.
Oh, you guys began to call him a pedophile and a predator, right?
Yes.
You guys are taunting him, aren't you?
I wouldn't say taunting. I'd say just telling him how it was, and he made us feel that way, and he scared us. And
So you were paying back?
I wouldn't say paying it back, no.
Well, would you agree you guys are around him, all pointing at him, chanting?
Mr. Smith, I understand you want to talk about something too?
And with that, we're going to dump out of yesterday's own eloquent testimony. Let's listen into the court. Judge Michael Waterman is back on the bench.
Okay. All right, before we get ahead, let's talk about the Exhibit 24. Mr. Nelson, you objected to 2 of the photographs.
Yes, Judge, I made an objection under 90403 to the last 2 photographs of the 12 photograph package. Your Honor, overruled my objection.
Right? As if all 17-year-olds have gold bracelets. Maybe they all do.
The way I looked at it is the photographs were, I don't know what the right word is, but they were part of the internal examination, and I understand that Mr. Nelson believed that they were potentially unfairly prejudicial against his client. I overruled the objection because the state has the burden of proof. One of the elements of proof is death at the hands of Mr. Miu. Although the defense may not be aggressively contesting that point, the state still has the burden of proving it. The photographs in question went directly to the cause of death and Dr. Frolof's opinions. So for that reason, I concluded that it was relevant. And because it was so relevant, it outweighed the potential prejudice to Mr. Miu. All right.
Judge, lastly, the defense has no objection to those photos being sealed.
Oh.
That's fine with us.
All right. Okay.
I should note, Judge, not all the jurors have seen the photos yet. They went out for their break before.
Right.
So when you come in, I'll need them back. Whoever hasn't seen them yet.
All right. I'll make a note of that and make sure that the photos are available. What's the next issue?
Are they being sealed then?
Give me a legal basis. I need more than just
Chapter 950.
your preference. We're not going to deal with it right now. Okay, I don't want to deal with it right now. There are considerations beyond the attorney's agreement when sealing records. There's very few circumstances when I can seal records from the public. And I want to be mindful of that because there is more interests at play here than just the attorneys, Mr. Miu's and mine. Next topic, Mr. Smith, Mr. Anderson.
So, Lieutenant Hart testified at the preliminary hearing. Pretty much, part of it was about her interview. A good chunk of it was summarizing the video. So, I just want to make sure, given the court's ruling previously, that there's not going to be questions of her interpretation of the video when she wasn't there. That's a question for the jury. Also, we're going to play the entire interview from the very start until the interview ends when Lieutenant Hart leaves. There's like approximately 15 minutes or so after that where the camera keeps running that we're not going to play. But it incorporates part, going over Miranda with Miu. So I just want to make sure there's not going to be any questions suggesting that his right to an attorney was violated. It's irrelevant. The court has already ruled that it wasn't, that he waived knowingly, intelligently his right to counsel.
Who wants to speak?
I wasn't planning on challenging a Miranda issue at this point. I do think, however, that the video should be played in its entirety. And what I mean by that is there's a period of time where the video is still running. Lieutenant Hart leaves the room and Mr. Miu is speaking on the tape. And he makes some statements on that. There's no reason that the jury shouldn't get to hear those. They're relevant. They go to his state of mind. And I'm asking that the court, if they're going to play the tape, they play the entirety of the tape. I'm going to play it if they don't play it, I guess. And I think that the rule of completeness would require that the entirety of the video be played for the fact finder.
Mr. Anderson?
They have no legal basis. If we didn't want to admit the video at all, they have no legal basis to admit the hearsay statements of their client. He's not a party opponent for them. Rule of completeness is not a Trojan horse around hearsay. There's a case that I cited to in our motion in limine where it was a tax evasion case and the defendant said, admitted to not paying taxes, but said it was because the accountant has access to all the records. The state admitted the first statement that he admitted to not paying, and the defense was not allowed to get in the but because it's self-serving. Here, it's not even part of an interview. I think from my stance, I thought about playing it because he's clearly continuing the acting show. But it's 15 minutes of him sitting there and mumbling to himself, and I think it's not a good use of our time, so I'm not putting it in. They have no authority to put it in. It's hearsay.
What is the authority beyond completeness?
Well, I think that's what it is, Judge. It's, if they play a portion of the video, I think the rule of completeness would allow me to play the rest of it to put it into context.
Yeah, what's the context that's missing, though?
The context that's missing is I don't believe Lieutenant Hart didn't tell Mr. Miu that he was being recorded upon leaving. He makes statements which support his defense. Okay? He makes statements to himself, not knowing he's recorded. Why would they attack me? Why would they attack me? He's saying that to himself. Unbeknownst, I think, that he's being recorded. And I think if you're going to play portions of it, which are, according to the state, would be considered incriminating, the idea that the video in its entirety should be played in order to give the jury a complete and accurate record of, in fact, what he said.
The rule of completeness is meant to prevent distortion. So an example where the rule of completeness would perfectly apply is if, say, there's a bank robbery. Defendant says, yeah, I was at the bank, but that was a month before. If we just admitted, yeah, I was at the bank, and then argued, oh, he's admitting to being at the scene, the rule of completeness would allow the rest of the statement, because otherwise we're clearly distorting his statement. So nothing about this implicates the rule of completeness.
All right, this time I'm going to rule that the state is not obligated to play the entire video. As part of the state's case, the state is entitled to play the portions it believes support its case, and the state is under no legal obligation to play the entire video. I disagree that the rule of completeness applies in this circumstance. My understanding of the rule of completeness is to prevent words from being taken out of context. Similar to the example that Mr. Anderson gave, it doesn't mean that if you play part of a video, you have to play all of the video. And clearly Mr. Miu's statements to himself are hearsay and would otherwise be inadmissible if offered by Mr. Miu. So that's my ruling. If the circumstances require revisiting that ruling, we may. Anything else?
I didn't hear anything from defense that they're not going to be asking Lieutenant Hart's interpretation of the video. She also hadn't seen the video at the time of the interview.
She testified at the preliminary examination. She provided a statement under oath. And I think if she denies certain things, I should be able to impeach her with that. And I think the area that the state doesn't want me to get into is when Lieutenant Hart says he's surrounded on all sides. He has no route of escape. And they want that because it affects the retreat instruction. And she testified to that under oath that that in fact was true.
How is it relevant, though? How is Lieutenant Hart's conclusions and observations from watching the video relevant?
Because it goes to what a reasonable person believed.
Well, I don't mean to be flippant here, but she's not the reasonable person standard. It's more objective than that, than what Lieutenant Hart thinks. It's broader than what Lieutenant Hart thinks.
Right, but I think that her observations that he had no means of escape. The state's going to argue that he could have left.
And he'd still argue
it. I understand he can argue it, but one of their investigators is saying that's not true. He didn't have a means of escape. Once the attack started, which is where the retreat instruction kicks in, she testified under oath at a preliminary examination. The crowd worked their way behind him. I asked her, so would you agree at that point there was no means of leaving? And she said, yes, that's true.
Again, I'm ruling that to be inadmissible. And this is a ruling that I've made with all of the witnesses. And that is, we're not commenting on what the witness observes in the video. We're not taking a poll of witnesses to get their opinions and their conclusions about what they see and what they think happened. Lieutenant Hart was not a participant. She played no role in the events on the Apple River. She is an observer of the video, just like anybody else in this courtroom, just like anybody sitting on the jury. And it is the jury's opinion about what they see that matters, not what Lieutenant Hart thinks, or what I think, or what some other witness thinks they see in the video. So that's why I don't think it's relevant, and that's why I've not allowed the witnesses to ask, or the attorneys to ask witnesses to comment on what they think and conclude based on observations in the video. Anything else?
No.
Mr. Trofficy? Things they see in the video that matters, not what sitting on the jury. And it is the jury's opinion about what they see that matters, not what Lieutenant Hart thinks, or what I think, or what some other witness thinks they see in the video. So that's why I don't think it's relevant, and that's why I've not allowed the witnesses to ask, or the attorneys to ask witnesses to comment on what they think and conclude based on observations in the video. Anything else?
No.
Mr. Trofficy?
We're not going to try to move any transcript, correct?
We weren't planning on it, but I guess it depends on how it
Boot
goes.
up.
It's an inaccurate transcript with 10 minutes cut out of the video, the one that we received, so I would object to the transcript being provided.
Okay. So that's noted. If we get to that point, we'll have to take it up outside the presence of the jury. All right, let's bring them in. I'll address the exhibit when they come in. Thank you.
All rise for the jury.
Please be seated. All right, we're back in session with the attorneys, Mr. Miu, and 14 jurors. Members of the jury, we took our break before all of you looked at the exhibit, number 24. It's there on the rail. If you want to continue passing it amongst yourselves, you may. Once you are finished, once everyone has seen it and you're finished with the exhibit, just turn it upside down, place it on the rail, or place it on the floor so that we know that you're done. Mr. Smestad, who is the next witness?
Call Lieutenant Hart.
Lieutenant, please come forward. Please face the clerk, raise your right hand, and be sworn.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Smestad.
State your name for the record, please.
Yes, Brandy Hart, H-A-R-T.
And what's your occupation?
I am the Special Services Lieutenant for the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office.
What are your general duties as a Special Services Lieutenant?
I supervise our 9 investigators, our 7 deputies in court services, and the evidence room.
How many years have you been with the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office?
25.
What roles have you held over those years?
I started in the jail. I worked there for 3 years. I went to patrol for 6 years. After that, I was promoted to investigations, where I spent 14 years before I became a lieutenant.
How many years have you been a lieutenant?
2.5.
Do you recall July 30th, 2022?
I do.
Were you on duty that day?
No.
Did you get called in?
I did.
In your current role, would you normally be involved in an investigation of this sort?
Yes.
Did you get contacted regarding the stabbings on the Apple River that day?
I did.
What was the information you were initially told?
Investigator Schultz called me and told me that there had been multiple stabbings on the Apple River.
Were you at home at the time?
I was doing yard work.
Did you get asked to come in?
Yes.
Were you given any specific duties or assignments?
At that point, we were just looking for manpower. The suspect hadn't been located, and we were going to formulate a plan.
What did you do? What was your part in the investigation?
I got to the Apple River about an hour after the first call came in, and at that point, Mr. Miu had been taken into custody, and his group was standing along the end of the river.
All right. What did you do when you got to the river?
I believe I spoke with some of my colleagues, and then I ended up taking Sandy Miu to the Somerset Police Department to interview her.
All right. And did you interview Sandy?
I did.
What did you do after that?
After that, I coordinated her getting back with her group. Some of them had come to the police department, and because all the other investigators were interviewing witnesses, I went to the jail.
All right. Were you asked to do anything specific at the jail?
I interviewed Mr. Miu.
Was that interview recorded?
It was.
How was it recorded?
Audio and video.
Were you wearing a body cam, or was there some other system?
I have a recording device on my cell phone, and so I recorded the audio version that way, and then there's an overhead camera at the jail that recorded the video.
Do you remember what time it was that you interviewed Mr. Miu at the jail?
Yeah, it was about 10 to 8.
PM?
Yes.
At that point, had you seen Jawan Cockfield's video of what happened on the river?
I had not.
Did you know there was a video?
I did.
Did Mr. Miu know that?
Conjecture, speculation.
Sustained.
Did you ever, prior to your interview with him, did you tell him there was a video of the incident?
I did not.
And have you
Bro.
And have you, 15?
I did.
Can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, it's a copy of my interview with Mr. Miu at the jail.
Is it recorded on a specific kind of a device?
Yes, it's on a thumb drive.
All right, Your Honor, permission to publish Exhibit 15 to the jury on the digital system.
Any objection to 15? No. All right, 15 is received.
Dude, kids today are fucking obsessed with trying to call out pedos. I think it's because they were inundated with them and Omegle and all their fucking platforms. Someone posted this on the Goodwill. It says "Thank Heaven for Little Girls," and they're like trying to make a big deal out of it, even though it's a song lyric from the 50s. And thank heaven for little girls. Without them, there would be little. What would little boys do? For 1958, like literally the whole fucking kid scene is on a pedo witch hunt, and they're just going after everybody they can. Like this dude, they were just calling him a pedo and a raper for no reason at all. They look for it. They're never everything. They're like, oh, that's pedo-ish. They're desensitized, but at the same time, extremely sensitive to it. How is that? How can they be both? Maybe they're one or the other. They're either desensitized to it, or they're like a pedo vigilante trying to go after everybody they think sniffs kids or something.
Hi there, are you Nick?
Yeah.
Hi Nick, my name is Brandy.
Hi.
I'm a lieutenant with the St. Clair County Sheriff's Office, okay? You got some water, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Have you had anything to eat?
No.
Okay, let me,
I will wait for now.
Okay.
For food.
Are you sure?
I'm not hungry.
Okay. Well, if you get hungry, just let these guys know, okay? Or let me know when I can.
I'm just very thirsty.
Yeah, I bet. Let's move along.
Out on the river drinking beer all day and not drinking any water.
And it's hot, and being in the sun all day. It doesn't matter if you're drinking beer. Sometimes just, and then this, So I would imagine that you have some questions for me.
Well.
I am just going to go through the rights form and, let you know if you want to answer any of my questions. We'll talk about that. I'm going to record our conversation if you're okay with that.
Of course.
Let's see, today is the 30th of July, and it is 7:53 p.m. How do you spell your first name?
Nicolae.
Okay. And
Last name, no middle name.
no middle name, okay. And what's your last name?
M-I-U.
How do you spell, or how do you pronounce that?
Miu.
Okay. And what's your birthday? Do you like to be called Nicolae or Nick, or what's Nick? Okay.
Yeah. December 11th, 1969.
Okay, so that makes you
52.
52, thank you. What's your address, Nick?
5945 Hidden Oak Circle.
Doxed. Damn.
Holy cats, that's a multiple. Hidden Oak Circle. I don't even know if I have enough space in this thing.
You do.
Southeast? Oh, Southeast. Thank you for correcting me.
Why would they make him dox his address like that? Wow.
What's the zip code in Prior Lake?
55372.
But he's not living there anymore.
Okay, and how about a phone number for you, Nick?
612-735-6317.
Well, we got to change that.
17, and I understand you're married to Sandy.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Is she okay?
She is, yeah. I did talk to her. I talked to her for quite a while. I brought her to get the dry clothes.
Where is she?
She is with Ernesto and Amy.
Okay, good.
They're taking good care of her. And then
Titi, my puppy.
she's headed home to take care of the dog. And she's also with Ariel and his girlfriend.
Oh, God, I don't even know.
Is it Tatiana?
No, Tatiana. Tatiana is another girl.
Okay.
But she's not.
Hold on, they gave me...
Yes.
Oh, Sandy didn't know Ariel's girlfriend's name.
Neither do I.
Okay. But Ernesto and Amy came to where I was with Sandy, and they went and got the car, but I had brought Sandy to the car to get
She was
changed.
driving, right?
No, she was with me. I brought her from the river to the car so she could get clothes, and we brought the cooler back and put that in the car, so she's got all the stuff.
All right.
Are you working anywhere now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where do you work?
I work at Reach Engineering as a mechanical engineer.
And what kind of engineering? What was that?
Mechanical engineer.
Yeah, what's the name of your employer?
Oh, Richie.
R-I...
TCHIE. Engineering. In Blooming.
We were getting like one comment every 5-10 minutes now. All right, baby.
427. I think it is.
Okay. What was the last grade that you completed?
I have a bachelor's, and I have actually 2 degrees, one in engineering, one in mathematics.
Wow.
And I'm a class away from a master's in both. I'm not a dummy, and I've never had a run with the law, except when I got we'll joke into that.
So where did you get your degrees from, your undergraduate
South
degrees?
Dakota State University.
The Bison?
No, the Jackrabbit.
Okay.
I'm not the end of the stream, y'all. I'm not going to do this with y'all just sitting here staring at me. Bye.
I'm not working on it.